Assalamu alaikum, my name is Umair Dar and we're at A for Aleph. With me is Zishan Mansoor, who I call Shaani.
Most people.
Yeah. From the band Malang Party from Islamabad, and we released a record last year called Ziyarat, which has been some time in the making,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, हमारा तारुफ इस तरह हुआ. Basically, Shaani was introduced to me by a common friend, also a musician, and at that time I had an idea that I would like to build a studio and be a music producer. I'd been working on my own music, but it hadn't happened yet. But when I heard some of his compositions, I was just like, one day when I have my studio, you come by and we will make an album together.
Yeah.
So a few years later that manifested, and here we are now. But talking about the album Ziyarat,
Yeah.
the name Ziyarat seems very political.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's
feel
both spiritual and political.
that's what I wanted to say. I feel that's just the basic kind of music that I like, maybe.
Yeah.
And these are the two things which I like. I mean, this is the reason I like Qawwali, because it's a spiritual music. I like gospel for the same reason, and politics is just in music is something that I've always been interested in.
Yeah.
Again, starting from all these people that I was really into, Curtis Mayfield and then Gil Scott and Marvin Gaye, Dylan, people who write political songs, Rage Against the Machine. So I like that kind of stuff about music, and I wanted to mix the both.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
the idea.
And that is kind of, I think, because you lived here for about a year or more while we were making this album.
Yeah.
And I found that period very educational for me, because I think we come from slightly different generations, and
Right.
a lot of the history of rock and roll and jazz and blues I was not so intimately familiar with. I had like the highlights in my head, but I didn't know the details and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting for me is the vision for Aleph came from the same space of being both connected spiritually and also having a purpose in terms of a social change. The desire to create a social change or awakening in the thinking of people who are exposed to the art that comes from here.
Completely.
Because again, that's what we've grown up falling in love with about music, and that's the main thing that seems to have gone missing in the recent times.
Yeah, I feel that just the extent of I mean, it seems strange to say it, but commercializing the music, right? And I mean, of course, musicians have to earn a living, but there is a difference in making songs and making jingles, and making stuff only so it can be sold. There's a difference, right?
Yeah, I think somewhere along the line people forgot that bands like Floyd with their overtly political stuff were the biggest selling band in the world when they were around. So there's not anything to say that you can't be genuine and not be a hit.
True. I feel that after 70s, what happened is that the corporate world got involved.
Yeah.
Right? All your big cola companies to everyone, basically, you can think of, right? They thought...
But they realized there's a following to this stuff.
We can sell our product whatever it is, right? Because it's in hipsters, it's in young folk, and music is generally liked by young folk, right?
Yeah.
So that was their way of tapping the market. But in tapping the market, they've of course destroyed the organic, natural. And I mean, in the West, it's much different because there's such a culture and history of it that the blues clubs would always exist, the jazz bars would always exist, and these things would, and even people who play certain styles would, they might not make as much of money or fame or any of that stuff, but they'll somehow still get by. They'll still have ways to,
Yeah.
But in this country, like I felt that the music just was used as a tool to sell stuff, you know, quite early on. Yeah.
Even Vital Signs, Junoon was completely overtaken by that stuff.
And I feel that I mean, of course, I was much younger when these bands were around, and I liked that stuff.
Yeah.
I liked Vital Signs and Junoon growing up, you know. I thought there were some good songs. But I also, while listening to that stuff, and I mean, even when I was younger, I realized that there's a bit of a sellout happening here, you know. There's all these Pepsi jingles, or Dil Dil Pepsi, or Jaan Jaan Pepsi, to, you know, I just thought that how can they sell their songs? I felt that music and art should be a little sacred, and you know, shouldn't be sold to the highest bidder type, you know, just like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, enough of that stuff. I felt that, you know, somehow we were managed to create something.
Yeah.
Despite all these issues and, you know,
and I think it's important to have that mindset as an artist, that you just do what's coming from your heart
completely,
and just forget about whatever else is around, you know. And I think also, like, the pandemic happened.
True,
while
at the same
we
time.
were working, while we were mixing. I think we'd recorded by then. But we were deep into the production. And I think that also helped silo us out from, you know, any consideration of what's happening in the world. Like this is a thing we're working on.
You know? In a way, completely. That was just the main objective at the time, just to do that.
Yeah. So in hindsight, now that the songs are out, like, how does it feel to you? Is it a weight off the shoulder?
It's a huge weight off the shoulder. I mean, for me, I felt that I've been carrying this luggage, like, you know, for a while. And I just thought that once it's done, right? And also, I wanted to write new songs, but it just wasn't happening. Because, you know, I would always keep going back to this stuff, right? Somehow.
Got to clear the backlog.
I mean, that's the main thing. I'm just so happy that that's done. I'm so happy that it's out. And I'm so happy that I was able to write some more songs. So, all in all, it's just been great, you know.
Looking forward to getting into those.
Also,
another thing, like, in terms of the album itself, which song or parts of songs or bits of input from other musicians, etc., do you think came as most, like, you know, most pleasantly surprising to you, which it changed the song in some way?
I felt, man, like, you know, song is just a structure, right? And what musicians do, and good musicians, is just they somehow decorate it, right?
They're the embellishment.
And like, I don't think that, you know, I could have had, like, anyone else doing these parts in this much time, with this less rehearsal, and, you know, with this level of expertise, and, you know, of course, I can think of pretty much the whole album where I feel there are parts where I love what Kami or Anas or Barka or Moyo or Ashal is doing. There are just bits in pretty much every song, you know, that I like, which I feel like just works, you know. So I really like Barka's solo on Ziyarat. I really like Kami's solo on Ziyarat. I actually really like Anas' solo on Ziyarat.
Ziyarat is just one of my favorites, of course. And the speech, the way...
that really worked out.
When we were working on the mix, like, there was a point where we had spoken about trying a speech, and you had a particular speech in mind. So the one day we were like, okay, let's put it in, and I just downloaded it. And I remember just pulling it into the project, roughly thinking कि ये drum solo इधर जा, and we never moved it from that spot. It just came directly into its spot.
It really worked out. Really glad.
Also, like, I feel it's one of those albums where it, you know, some music, when it's quite different from what's happening around, it can take a year, 2-3 years for it to seep into, you know, listeners.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
what I've been pleasantly surprised is, like, so we have our weekly Jummmah jams here, and we have new people coming in almost every week.
Right.
And lately, some of the younger crowd that has been coming has been raving about Ziyarat. You know,
Oh, wow.
Like people in their early mid-20s, you know.
That's great. That's great. I mean, I just think there's, of course, lack of instrumental music.
Yeah.
You know, there's instrumental music of, I would say folk genre. You know, you would find quite a lot, or classical, but contemporary music there is not much, because mostly, of course, it's concerned with making popular music, right?
Yeah.
And it is a little difficult for instrumental to be. But I mean, that wasn't even the idea. The idea was that, you know, being influenced by all this music that I've been influenced to, and everyone around me, you know, like we wanted to, I mean, I had a simple, you know, riff or chord progression or whatever you want to call it. But the main idea was that it's a head, and I wanted musicians to have solos, you know, and just the way it worked out, that everyone's part fits in and fits at the right place, and everyone played really well. So so, you know,
it was a nice canvas for people to
do
something with. But I was also referring just in general to the album, because I think a lot of the younger crowd also is interested in hearing different kind of songwriting, and also the guitar as a songwriting instrument, where you're going beyond the basic 4-5 chords, is not so commonly used locally, you know. And now it's just like synth pads and beats and little electronic moments that things are built around.
Yeah, completely.
So in that sense, it is very much like one of the old school albums that we would have grown up with, because they had, you know, they didn't have all this crazy technology that we have today. And
True.
In some sense, I think you're removed from that technology because you're not such a computer person.
Not at all. I'm anti-computer person. Yeah. It just doesn't. It's never been one of those things that I would like to do. I mean, I like playing music. I feel that, you know, like I rather play it right than to.
Than to just fiddle around with the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a fun journey. What plans do you have with this project going forward?
Man, there is just a certain difficulty of availability of people, because I mean, like let's just talk about how many actual drummers you have in the country, right? Who I would like to play, just not many. Let's just say not many.
Who are actually available to play in bands.
That's the thing, right? So considering the current situation, I mean, and you know, I completely know how difficult it is to either play, pursue, or even want to do anything in arts or music or any of that stuff. You know, it's just, and so a lot of people just don't stick to it. You know, they rather do something else, and it makes sense, right? For them, but I mean, I just like playing music. And I would like to, of course, keep recording, keep making more music. I have next 2 albums written, composed, arranged. So I have songs, and it's just an availability of folks around, and would love to.
Inshallah, koi time or bande nikal ke kari lenge sab.
Exactly, man. Like, you know, I mean, you can just keep trying, and
at some point it'll work.
That's it. So I just keep the basic ideas quite simple, you know. It's just, you just do this because there's love of music, right?
Yeah.
You don't do it because someone's putting a gun to your head. You're not doing it because, you know, there's no other way of you earning money. I mean, you don't really earn money from music anyways. But it's just that for you to keep pursuing music, it's just, you really have to like what you do, you know.
Yeah. And commit to it.
And I just want to keep getting better as a musician, improve, you know, play better, write better songs, all of that. I feel that it's just a journey, and because of the album, I feel that I just got like a push that I should keep doing this, you know, because everyone needs, you know, these things to keep happening.
Yeah.
And would like to make the next album better than this one, you know, and so on and so forth.
Definitely. I mean, as a producer, I already know that, you know, just purely sonically, even with the same gear, we can go further, because it's just a matter of experience and
completely
doing more records, and you get fine-tune your process.
So
the process of recording the album,
you
know, was quite interesting, because first it was just you that came here. Malang Party previously had a lineup. Those people were unavailable for a variety of reasons. And we wanted to move forward with a new lineup. And we tried a couple of different people, but then I think it started to come together the day I suggested you meet Anas. You know. And I don't know, did he bring Kami with him the first day?
I think no, maybe it was the second day. And I came, and Kami and Anas were already jamming the songs, I think, because Anas remembered from a day before. He was showing some stuff. So I was like, yeah, man, let's just go. And I think we took 3 days of rehearsal, and we took 3 days of recording. And
in the rehearsal days, we had the demo electronic kit set up in my room upstairs.
That's true. We went through that whole process, right? Where I recorded the songs on a click.
On a click, on the guitar,
and Anas played over it, and then Kami played on the electronic kit in your room, I remember. And we had the basic thing, then we did more vocal tracks on that. And then when we were tracking live, we were just using the backing vocals. The vocals from the demos, right?
Yes, we were recording instrumentally to that.
That's right. That's right. But I think, honestly, like, I feel that only Kami was listening to the click, because I was just listening to Kami.
And that's the way it should be.
I mean, I was just not really even listening to maybe the first 4 counts, and that was it. And then I would just listen to Kami and Anas, and that was it. I knew, you know,
and
we're in time.
I mean, we were in this room. You were, I think, on this side. Anas was where you are. And Kami was in the drum room. Across in the drum room.
Right.
And it was just a 3-piece. And also engineering-wise, Danny had set up the mics and the recording, but since our sessions were late night after
recording
Kami's commercial project sessions, he would come here late, and 3 nights I think we did it. It
was great. I mean, of course, hats off to Kami, because I feel the drummer has a hard job, you know, playing with the click.
Absolutely.
And he just heard those songs like 3 days ago. But man, he's a pro. He
and some of, particularly one song, maybe I think it was Woke On Hai.
We had.
Because it was a really, and you know, these are professional musicians, seasoned players. But that song had such a grid-like structure, you know, completely very Daft Punk, pop. And so it just had to be super tight. And I think that's why on that one we did quite a few abnormal amount of takes.
We did. True.
But other than that, it was fairly smooth sailing.
I think Ziyarat had 2 takes. And and some were like quite a few takes, just 2-3 takes. Again, the idea was that we didn't want to like spend that much time on editing, you know, like basic, the drums and stuff were just
that's
done
something
in time.
which especially given the quality of the drummer.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want a situation as a producer, especially where you haven't taken enough takes, where, you know, something has just not been played right, and you're like, oh, we'll fix it in the edit, and that's just not the approach here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was, I think from my point of view, it was like, okay, we'll get to the point where you three are happy with it, and then we'll do another take. And often that extra take ended up going even further, and we've used those ones.
Yeah, at times we did, bilkul, I do remember.
But yeah, after that, it was a fairly drawn out process, because ye to jaldi se ho gaya tha tracking, but getting availability of
all the people who were doing other parts,
like overdubbing from backing vocalists and you know, trying different backing vocalists and seeing what we wanted to go with ultimately.
And Barka, I think, I mean, it didn't take that long, but you know, it's still a process. Moyo, because he was in London, so sending them tracks and he's sending the stuff back.
Also, it was a little blind work happening, in the sense that there was just a kacha live track, and then you were doing your guitar overdubs while Varka's also doing his key work, and so in the end we had to like, and Moyo's also doing his backing vocal there, so there was a lot of work in editing after all that to see what is extra and where things are getting in the way of each other.
True.
And for me, that was quite educational as an arranger, you know. Okay, you know, you don't often need
people write it there.
Yeah, like every song needs to have space to grow in the journey of the song itself.
Right.
There's a lot of times we had parts filled out from beginning to end, but then in the mix we chose to mute things and open them up as we went along.
Completely. I mean, for me, like, I feel that for the next album, what I would like to do is to use all the musicians who are present here.
Yes.
At the time. I feel that, I mean, you know, of course, we did it because these are the people that we wanted to have on the album. But at the same time, I feel that it's a different thing. It just, that whole process of waiting for tracks to come, and it just, the whole thing just somehow, can break the flow.
It can break the flow, it can make things stale for us while creating them as well.
I feel that...
So we had to take some breaks in the middle.
Yeah, completely. So I mean, I feel that the stuff that I learned was that just to use stuff which is there, and also that as quickly the song is edited and is done and is gone into mixing, the better it is.
The less room for overthinking.
That's it. Because you can actually spend a lifetime on a song.
Yeah.
And you still might have things that you can do with it. You know, it's just the kind of people we are, and it's just the nature of the beast, man. You know, like, that's what it is. It's never like, I don't know, some genius, but you know, he said, like, songs are never finished, they're abandoned. So you gotta do that, right? Like, and the quicker you can do it, the better it is. I think that is the whole process. That was the learning, but for me, that be easier, because some of these songs, I mean, some were relatively new, but some have been around for a very long time, and that was the reason that somehow I just couldn't really
easily let them go.
Yeah.
No, I definitely understand that.
So, man, it's just a learning process. We learned a lot, and hopefully we're just gonna do bigger and better shit from now on.
Yeah. Also, it's like, just to complete the workflow aspect. So this was the first album that I've mixed.
Wow.
And also I learned my hardware on these songs. So, you know, in a way, like, it's always going to, I mean, nothing can take its place in that sense, because it's how I learned. And so, you know, thank you for trusting me with that.
Man.
'Cause I'm super happy with how it turned out.
Bro, because no one is doing what you're doing, right? And the only way you get better is by doing.
Yeah,
And that's basically it, right?
that's it.
So we're just getting bigger and better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that should about cover it, except we'll give you a little bite. And then after we were happy with the mixes, it was also quite educational because, we were so close to the songs. It had been over a year listening to them over and over again. And shout out to Saad Dada, who did a huge amount of work in the editing phase, and also early parts of the mixes. He made kind of beds for me, which were easy for me to then fine tune.
Yeah.
But passionate engineer, guitar player, and he really understood what we were going for.
Completely, man. Great dude. Like, really loved working with him, and he spent so much time and gave so much energy to these songs. Great work, Saad.
And so I was just saying it was important for me to offload it to some mastering engineer who knows what he's doing, who has a nicely tuned room where he doesn't have to second guess anything.
Yeah.
And I think that turned out nice in the end.
Man, it turned out great. I think that guy did a great job.
He brought some extra finesse out of them.
Completely, and like kind of gelled all the songs together.
Yeah.
That's one thing that
sounds like a record.
Yeah.
Bilkul.
So, man, we're really happy.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't checked it out, then go check it out.
Yeah.
Malang Party Ziyarat, recorded at A4Aleph Studios.
Out on A4Aleph Records. Go check it out on Bandcamp. You can, pay a small amount and get high quality WAV files, which will sound much better than anything you hear on a streaming platform. But the music is out there, and we need your support to keep. I mean, we're gonna keep doing it anyway, but your support will make us feel a little better.
Yeah, it definitely will, man. I mean, just don't feel bad, just support us.
Yeah. And so with that, I think we've wrapped up, and this was me, Umair Dar, with Zishan Mansoor of Malang Party, and you're watching A4Aleph's YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and spread the word. Thank you so much.